Imagine this. You wake up every morning chasing what you want: success, peace, respect, happiness. But here's the truth. Most people never realize you will never get what you want. You will only ever get what you believe you deserve. Life doesn't hand you your dreams. It mirrors your mindset. Your thoughts are the blueprint. Your habits are the bricks. Your discipline is the foundation, and your self-belief, that's the architect behind it all. You can change your job, your city, even your circle, but if your mindset stays the same patterns will follow you everywhere. This isn't just another self-help lesson. It's a reset, a moment to take back control of your inner world. Because everything you want already exists within reach. But your current mindset might be the only thing in the way. In this journey, you'll learn how to reprogram your mind, how to stop chasing validation, and how to finally align your thoughts with your goals. Not through luck, not through motivation, but through mastery. Once you master your mind, and you stop asking for permission to succeed, you become the kind of person success can't ignore. Take a deep breath. This is where the shift begins. Everyone says they want to change. They want to be more focused, more disciplined, more successful. They want freedom, peace, confidence, purpose. But wanting is not the same as becoming. Wanting is emotional. Becoming is structural. And until you understand the difference, you'll keep mistaking inspiration for transformation. Think about it. You've had moments when you felt unstoppable when you made big plans, wrote down your goals, promised yourself you'd do better. And then life happened. Distractions appeared. Old habits returned. Your motivation faded. And everything felt heavy again. Why? Because motivation lives in the moment. Identity lives for a lifetime. You can't build a new life with an old identity. You can't install new habits on a broken operating system. The secret to lasting change isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming someone who no longer needs to try so hard. The rule of identity. There's a simple truth. You do not get what you want. You get what your identity allows. If your identity is, "I'm lazy," you'll always find a reason to delay. If your identity is, "I'm inconsistent," you'll always fall short. But when your identity becomes, "I'm disciplined," your actions automatically align. This is what I call the identity rule. You must decide who you are before your behavior can follow. Every time you act, you are voting for the type of person you believe yourself to be. And those votes add up. Every small choice, what you eat, what you read, how you speak to yourself, is either strengthening your new identity or feeding the old one. That's why discipline isn't about willpower. It's about identity alignment. When your actions match who you believe you are, effort disappear. You stop forcing, and you start flowing. From emotion to execution. Here's the problem with wanting. It feels good, but it doesn't last. I want to be fit. I want to start my own business. I want to be more confident. Wanting gives your brain the illusion of progress. It satisfies your ego temporarily. But when it's time to act, the brain resists because it doesn't believe you are that person yet. That's why change must begin with structure. And structure begins with rules. Rules don't ask, "Do I feel like it?" Rules say, "This is what I do." A rule is not about control. It's about clarity. It's the difference between hoping and knowing. I'll try to wake up early becomes I wake up at 6 a.m. No, negotiation. I want to write more becomes I write 1 page every day. No exceptions. I want to feel better. Becomes I move my body for 20 minutes daily. These aren't motivational quotes. They're identity commands. Why rules work. When motivation fails, your brain loves consistency. It's wired to protect patterns, even destructive ones. That's why change feels hard. But once you give your brain a new rule to follow, it relaxes. It no longer has to decide what's right. It just executes. This is how pilots fly planes. They don't rely on feeling inspired to navigate. They rely on systems and checklists that work every time. You need the same for your mindset. If your emotions are the weather, your rules are the sky. Stable, unshakable, constant. The more consistent your rules, the calmer your life becomes. The calmer your life becomes, the faster you grow. One rule, one proof. Let's make this simple. Take a pen. Write down one sentence. I am the kind of person who... That's your identity rule. Maybe you write, I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who stays calm under pressure. I am the kind of person who does what I say I will do. Don't overthink it. Just pick one truth you want to live by. Now, attach one daily proof, something small and measurable that backs it up. If your rule is about discipline, your proof might be, I complete one meaningful task before checking my phone. If your rule is about focus, I write down my top 3 priorities every morning. If your rule is about peace, I take 5 minutes in silence before starting my day. That proof is your anchor, the visible evidence of your invisible mindset shift. The power of self-agreement. When you live by rules, something powerful happens. You stop breaking promises to yourself. Most people don't realize how often they betray their own trust. They say they'll start tomorrow, but don't. They say they'll stop complaining, but keep repeating the same stories. And every time they break that promise, their self-belief weakens. Rules rebuild that trust. They turn inner chaos into clarity. Because you no longer argue with yourself, you just act. When you operate from this state, life becomes quieter. There's no more guilt, no more decision fatigue, no more emotional roller coaster. You simply follow the rule, and every action becomes a vote for your highest self. The energy shift. You'll notice something subtle but profound. You begin to feel lighter, focused, calm. You stop wasting energy on convincing yourself. That energy returns as momentum. And momentum is magic. It multiplies everything it touches. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You just need to start living by one rule today. The brain loves patterns. It loves evidence. When it sees you follow through once, it believes you can do it again, and again, and again. That's how confidence grows through repetition, not inspiration. From I want to I am. So from this moment forward, don't say I want. Say I am. Don't ask, how do I stay motivated? Ask, what rule am I living by today? Because every time you choose structure over emotion, you reinforce a stronger identity. And once your identity shifts, success stops being something you chase. It becomes something you attract. Every morning, look in the mirror and ask, who am I becoming through the choices I make today? Then let your answer be simple, not a wish, not a dream, but a rule you live by. Because discipline isn't about control. It's about freedom, the freedom to live life without excuses. You don't need a miracle. You just need a rule that aligns who you are with who you want to be. That's where true mastery begins, when you stop hoping for change and start becoming the rule you live by. You already know what you want. You already know what you should be doing. But somehow, you don't move. You hesitate. You delay. You tell yourself you're preparing, planning, thinking, when deep down, you're just standing still. This isn't laziness. It's resistance, silent, invisible, and deeply human. And unless you understand it, it will control your entire life. Imagine your potential as a powerful engine, unstoppable, strong, full of energy. But attached to that engine are 4 invisible brakes: procrastination, fear, self-doubt, and overthinking. You can press the gas as hard as you want, but if those brakes are engaged, you're going nowhere. So, in this chapter, we're going to identify each brake, understand why it exists, and release it one by one. Brake 1, procrastination, the illusion of later. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You'll wake up early next week. You'll launch your project once you're ready. But here's the truth: later is a lie. Later is fear in disguise. Procrastination isn't about time. It's about emotion. It's your brain avoiding discomfort. It says, "I'll do it later," when what it really means is, "I don't want to feel uncomfortable right now." But succès requiert disconfort. Growth demands it. The way to kill procrastination isn't through motivation, it's through movement. Don't think. Start. The brain hates open loops. The moment you begin, even for 5 minutes, momentum takes over. So here's your first tool, the if-then rule. If I feel like putting it off, then I'll do it for just 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all it takes to break the loop. Because the hardest part of doing anything isn't the work itself, it's starting. Break 2. Fear, the shadow that protects and limits. You. Fear isn't your enemy. It's a misunderstood ally. Its job is to protect you, to keep you from danger, rejection, or failure. But in the modern world, fear isn't protecting your life. It's protecting your comfort zone. Every time you avoid fear, you shrink. Every time you face fear, you expand. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. So when you feel fear, don't run. Name it. Say, "I see you." Because the moment you name your fear, it loses its power. Ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could actually happen? Then follow it with, what's the best thing that could happen if I just do it anyway 9 times out of 10? You'll realize the fear was never about the outcome. It was about judgment. Judgment from others. Judgment from yourself. Judgment for daring to grow. But here's the truth: people who judge you are too afraid to change themselves. Their opinions are just projections of their own limits. So don't let fear of judgment stop you. Let it guide you. Because where fear appears, that's exactly where your next level begins. Break 3. Self-doubt, the whisper that questions everything. Self-doubt is quiet, but it's powerful. It sounds like logic. It disguises itself as reason. Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe I'm not ready yet. Maybe I'm not good enough. But self-doubt isn't the voice of truth. It's the echo of your past failures. It's the reflection of old beliefs you never challenged. The problem isn't that you doubt yourself. The problem is that you believe the doubt. Confidence isn't built by waiting for certainty. It's built by taking action while uncertain. Every time you act, despite self-doubt, you prove that you are not your thoughts. You show your brain, "I can feel doubt and still move forward." That's how self-trust is born. Because self-trust isn't built by being perfect. It's built by seeing yourself follow through again and again. So when that voice whispers, "What if I fail?" answer it softly, "Then I'll learn." And when it says, "You're not ready," say, "Neither was anyone who ever did something great." The cure for self-doubt is self-proof. You don't argue with the voice, you outgrow it. Break 4. Overthinking, the trap of endless preparation. You want everything to be perfect. You overanalyze, overplan, overprepare. You convince yourself that thinking more means being smarter. But here's the paradox. The more you think, the less you do. And the less you do, the more you doubt. Overthinking is mental quicksand. The harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. The only way out is action small, messy, imperfect action. Your brain can't think its way into clarity. It must act its way into clarity. Remember, this movement creates insight. Action creates answers. No book, no mentor, no plan can teach you what 10 minutes of real experience can. So when you catch yourself overthinking, use this anchor. If I can't decide, I'll act on the smallest step available. Don't aim for perfect decisions. Aim for consistent ones. Because the faster you decide, the faster you learn. And the faster you learn, the faster you win. The real enemy, resistance itself. These 4 breaks: procrastination, fear, self-doubt, and overthinking, they all come from one root cause: resistance. Resistance hates progress. It feeds on delay, distraction, and perfectionism. It tells you, wait for the right time. It tells you, do more research. It tells you, you're not ready. But resistance has one weakness: momentum. The moment you act, even slightly, resistance begins to die. Because action and resistance cannot coexist. One will always destroy the other. The question is, which one will you feed? How to break free. If you want to remove the brakes from your life, you must build a new reflex. When you feel hesitation, move. When you feel fear, breathe and act. When you feel doubt, prove it wrong through action. When you feel stuck, simplify and decide. You are not your hesitation. You are not your fear. You are not your self-doubt. You are the part of you that moves anyway. The brain learns by doing, not by waiting. So train it. Repetition builds resilience. Action builds identity. Every small victory builds the habit of momentum, and momentum is unstoppable once it starts rolling. You don't need to eliminate fear or doubt. You just need to stop letting them drive. Because you are not here to move safely. You are here to move silently, steadily, purposefully, consistently. The most powerful people in the world aren't fearless, they're practiced. They've trained their minds to act, even when the world screams wait. So remember this: every time you hesitate, you're standing at the edge of your next breakthrough. Step forward. Even one step is enough. Because once the brakes are gone, you'll realize the engine inside you was always ready to fly. Let's be honest, most people don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because they lack rhythm. They wake up reactive, checking messages, notifications, and demands from the world before they've even said good morning to themselves. And then they spend the entire day catching up. No structure, no anchor, no space to think. You can't master your mindset if your day owns you. So in this chapter, we'll build something simple, practical, and deeply powerful: your personal operating system, the 20-20-20 flow, a system that transforms chaos into clarity, that turns your time into traction, and your day into a series of deliberate victories. The problem, you don't need more time, you need a system. You already have 24 hours just like everyone else. The question isn't, how do I get more hours? The question is, how do I use the ones I already have intentionally? Because focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it on purpose. You don't need to fill every hour. You need to own the first one. Step 1. The first 20 minutes movement before momentum. The first 20 minutes after waking up decide the tone of your entire day. Most people spend it scrolling, feeding on chaos before they've even grounded themselves. But not you. Not anymore. Your first 20 minutes are sacred. They belong to your mind and body. No screens. No noise. No outside world. Move. Stretch. Breathe. Go for a short walk. Do push-ups. Dance to your favorite song if you want. It doesn't matter how you move. Only that you do. Why? Because movement creates chemistry. When you move, your brain releases dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin, the natural focus fuels that make you feel alive again. This isn't about fitness. It's about priming your state. A still body cannot lead an active mind. Move first, think later. Step 2. The next 20 minutes reflection before reaction. Now, your body is awake. It's time to wake your mind. Most people jump straight into work or chaos, but this 20-minute block is for reflection. Sit down with a notebook or your favorite digital journal. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. What matters most today? 2. What energy do I want to bring into my actions? 3. What would make today a win, even if everything else goes wrong? These questions align your mind before the world tries to hijack it. You can't control what happens during the day, but you can control your starting point. Write, think, plan, pray. If that's your way, this is your mental calibration, the daily download between your higher self and your current self. It's 20 minutes of silence that multiply your next 10 hours of productivity. Step 3. The final 20 minutes creation before consumption. Here's the biggest trap of the modern world. We consume more than we create. We wake up to emails, scroll through endless videos, drown in other people's opinions, and then wonder why our own thoughts feel blurry. You can't think clearly if your mind is full of noise. So, the last 20 minutes of this system are dedicated to creation. Do something that moves your life forward. Write a paragraph. Brainstorm an idea. Outline your next step. Record a short note. It doesn't matter what you create, only that you start your day producing. Not consuming. Creation first. Consumption later. That's the rule. Because the person who creates before they consume stays centered while everyone else reacts. Why the 20-20-20 system works. You might wonder why 20 minutes each. Because 20 minutes is short enough to be doable, but long enough to change your state completely. It's not a routine. It's a ritual. When repeated daily, it rewires your brain's association with time. Your mornings stop being random. They become intentional. You no longer start your day reacting to life. You start directing it. And that shift changes everything. Because when the first hour of your day belongs to you, the rest of the day follows your lead. The real secret, it's not about perfection, it's about ownership. Don't try to do it perfectly. You'll miss days. You'll get distracted. That's okay. What matters is that you come back again and again. Perfection is a trap. Consistency is freedom. The 20-20-20 system isn't about control. It's about alignment. It reminds you that you don't need to change the world in one day. You just need to show up for yourself in the first hour. That single hour becomes a message to your subconscious. I am in charge. And the more your brain hears that message, the more it believes it. Your checklist for tomorrow morning. When you wake up, don't reach for your phone. Reach for your breath. Then follow this. 1. Move your body any way you like for 20 minutes. 2. Reflect, write, think, or meditate for 20 minutes. 3. Create. Make something meaningful for 20 minutes. 60 minutes. 1 small hour. A total recalibration of your mind. You don't need a new year to start over. You just need a new morning. The compound effect. Do this once, and you'll feel different. Do it for 7 days, and you'll think differently. Do it for 30 days, and you'll become different. Because repetition isn't just habit, it's identity training. Every time you complete your 20-20-20, you reinforce the belief that you are in control. And eventually, your mornings won't require discipline. They'll become your favorite part of the day. The morning you deserve success doesn't begin when you achieve your goals. It begins the moment you decide how to start your day. Every morning is a chance to remind yourself you are not behind. You are not late. You are simply starting again. And each time you start again, you get stronger. So tomorrow, when you open your eyes, don't rush. Breathe. Move. Reflect. Create. That's your new operating system. Simple. Sustainable. Unshakable. The world can wait. This first hour belongs to you. Most people live as if certainty is possible. They plan every detail. They chase the perfect path. They fear mistakes as if failure means they've lost the game. But life doesn't work that way. Success doesn't belong to the people who always get it right. It belongs to those who understand probability. The most powerful thinkers, scientists, investors, creators, athletes, they don't chase perfection. They play the odds. And that's where the 70-20-10 rule comes in. 70%, the foundation's small wins. Done consistently. 70% of your actions should be the things that work most of the time. Your habits, your routines, your steady progress. The things that may look ordinary but build extraordinary results. Because small wins are not small. They're compound interest for your mindset. Think of it like this. You don't need every day to be spectacular. You just need most days to be solid. Write your goals. Show up for your habits. Stay kind. Stay consistent. That's your 70%. The unglamorous foundation of every overnight success. Consistency builds credibility with yourself. It's how you prove you're reliable not to others, but to your own mind. When your brain learns that you do what you say you'll do, you stop doubting yourself every time things get hard. So protect your 70%. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. 20%, the experiments, testing the unknown now. 20% of your effort should go into experimentation, trying new ideas, exploring new methods, taking small, calculated risks. This 20% keeps you alive, adaptive, creative. If the 70% gives you stability, the 20% gives you growth. Most people don't fail because they don't try hard enough. They fail because they stop experimenting. They repeat the same safe routine until it becomes a prison. But innovation doesn't come from what's safe, it comes from curiosity. So set aside a small part of your energy for play, for trial, for deliberate mistakes. Try a new skill. Test a new strategy. Read something completely different. from your usual interests. Don't chase perfection. Chase data. Every experiment gives you feedback. Every result, win or lose, teaches your brain something new. And when you learn faster than others, you rise faster than others. 10%, the bets, calculated learning through risk. And finally, 10%. 10% of your time, energy, or resources should go into high-risk, high-reward learning. This is the part where you bet on yourself. It could be starting that business you've been postponing, taking a course that scares you, investing in something that pushes you beyond your comfort zone. You don't gamble recklessly. You learn through risk. Why 10%? Because that's just enough to stretch your limits without breaking your foundation. When you play small, you stay safe, but you also stay stuck. When you bet intelligently, you accelerate evolution. Those who never take risks never build resilience. But those who take smart risks learn faster than fear can catch them. The key word here is smart, calculated, intentional. Your 10% isn't about being bold for the sake of it. It's about exposure to uncertainty, to challenge, to growth. Because comfort never taught anyone anything. The equation of growth. Let's put it together. 70% consistent habits and structure. 20% exploration and experimentation. 10% strategic risk and high learning. This equation creates balance between safety and evolution, between logic and courage. It keeps you grounded and growing, stable and sharp. Without the 70%, you drift. Without the 20%, you stagnate. Without the 10%, you stay small. But with all three, you move through life like a strategist, not a survivor. Real-life example. Let's say you're building a new career path. Your 70% might be improving your core skills daily, showing up to work with focus, discipline, and integrity. Your 20% could be experimenting with new tools, testing side projects, or finding better systems of productivity. Your 10%, that's investing in a mentor, a new certification, or taking on a challenging role that forces you to level up. Every level of growth follows this same logic. When you apply the 70-20-10 rule consistently, you don't rely on luck anymore, you rely on leverage. You stop fearing mistakes, because you've built a system that expects them. The mindset behind the rule. The 70-20-10 rule works because it mirrors how the brain learns best through repetition, variation, and challenge. Repetition creates confidence. Variation builds creativity. Challenge develops courage. When all three work together, you stop reacting to life and start designing it. You become more analytical, more resilient, more calm. You stop asking, "Will this work?" and start asking, "What will I learn from this?" That question changes everything. Because when growth becomes the goal, you can't lose. You either win or you learn. A quiet reminder. Not every move needs to be loud. Not every step needs to be visible. Some of your best growth will happen in silence behind the scenes, when no one's clapping yet. The 70-20-10 rule keeps you moving quietly, steadily, intentionally. It gives your days a sense of structure and your mind a sense of peace. So stop aiming to get everything right. Start aiming to stay in the game. 70% steady, 20% curious, 10% bold. That's how smart thinkers move, not by chasing certainty, but by mastering probability. And when you do, you'll realize that success was never about control. It was about rhythm. The mind loves comfort, especially the comfort of being right. We build beliefs, then we protect them. We create assumptions, then we defend them like fortresses. But growth doesn't come from being right. It comes from asking better questions. That's where the inner red team comes in. In military strategy, a red team's job is to attack its own plan to find weaknesses before the enemy does. In life, your enemy is not another person. It's blind confidence. It's the echo chamber of your own thinking. So, if you want to grow, you must become your own red team. You must challenge your assumptions before reality does it for you. Here are 5 questions, simple but surgical, that will sharpen your mind, strengthen your strategy, and keep your ego from blinding your growth. Question 1. What evidence proves me wrong? Our brains are biased to seek confirmation. We notice what supports our beliefs and ignore what threatens them. But real intelligence doesn't just collect evidence, it looks for contradiction. So ask yourself, what would it take to prove me wrong if your mind goes blank? That's the problem. Because if you can't imagine being wrong, you're not thinking, you're defending. This question forces humility. It turns your thinking from I know into I'm exploring. And when you shift into curiosity, you unlock perspective. Every great strategist knows this certainty kills awareness. Doubt controlled. Deliberity. Doubt keeps you sharp. Question 2. What assumptions am I standing on? Behind every belief is a hidden assumption. And assumptions are the silent architects of failure. I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet. People like me can't do that. These sound like facts. But they're not. They're stories. Stories you've rehearsed so often. Your brain stopped questioning them. So pause and ask, what assumption am I making right now? You might realize you've been acting on a belief that no longer fits your current reality. Because the version of you who created that belief might not be the version of you who's listening to this today. When you expose assumptions, you take back control. You start operating from awareness, not autopilot. Question 3. What is the real cost if I'm wrong? The mind fears being wrong more than it fears wasting time. That's why people avoid decisions. They'd rather delay forever than risk making a mistake. But here's the paradox. Avoiding a small mistake often leads to a much bigger one, the mistake of doing nothing. So ask yourself, what's the real cost if I'm wrong? Most of the time, it's smaller than you think. You'll lose a little time, maybe some pride, but you'll gain information, and that's how growth happens. The brain treats all risks as life-threatening, but most risks are just ego-threatening. And if you can survive embarrassment, you can survive anything. This question builds courage, the kind rooted in logic, not adrenaline. Question 4. How will I know if it's failing? Most people only realize they were wrong after everything falls apart. They wait until pain forces awareness. But you can build an early warning system, a signal that tells you when to pivot before it's too late. Ask, what are the signs that this isn't working? List them. Define them. Watch for them. This question trains self-awareness in motion. Because failure doesn't come suddenly, it whispers in small signals long before it shouts. Maybe it's loss of enthusiasm. Maybe it's avoidance. Maybe it's a recurring tension you keep rationalizing away. When you know your failure indicators, you can adapt before you collapse. That's not fear, that's strategy. Question 5. What's my exit strategy? No one wants to think about failure, but those who plan for it. Survive it. An exit strategy doesn't mean you expect to fail. It means you expect to learn. It gives you the flexibility to shift direction without losing momentum. Ask, if this doesn't work, how will I recover fast? What will I do with what I've learned? How can this still benefit me even if it ends differently than I hoped? When you have an exit strategy, you remove fear from the equation. You stop thinking, what if this ends, and start thinking, how will I evolve from it? That mindset turns every detour into data. The mindset behind the questions. These 5 questions aren't about doubt, they're about depth. They help you see more clearly, decide more calmly, and fail more intelligently. Because success isn't the absence of mistakes, it's the mastery of recovery. And self-awareness is the most underrated competitive advantage in the world. When you challenge your own thinking, you stop fighting reality. You start dancing with it. You stop reacting to problems. You start anticipating them. That's what the inner red team is for, to help you refine your thinking before life forces you to. A quick exercise. Next time you're about to make a decision, big or small, pause and run it through the 5 filters. 1. What evidence could prove me wrong? 2. What assumptions am I standing on? 3. What's the real cost if I'm wrong? 4. How will I know if it's failing? 5. What's my exit strategy? Write your answers down. Don't overthink, just respond honestly. Within minutes, you'll see your blind spots dissolve. And in their place, clarity. A final thought: strong minds defend their opinions. Powerful minds challenge them. Your ego will resist this process. It always does. But the calm confidence you're seeking comes from knowing that you've tested your own thinking before the world does. That's how you become resilient, not by being perfect, but by being prepared. So build your inner red team. Let it question you. Let it sharpen you. Let it humble you. Because when your mind becomes your own challenger, you stop fearing failure and start mastering truth. Most people think discipline means pushing harder, doing more, never stopping. But that kind of discipline burns out fast. Because real consistency isn't built on pressure, it's built on design. There's a smarter way to work with your habits. A way that keeps you growing without exhausting your energy. I call it the 2x2 habit matrix. Imagine this: a simple square, divided into 4 boxes. Across the top, right, easy and hard. Down the side, right, low impact and high impact. You now have 4 spaces, 4 types of habits that shape your life. Each one plays a different role in your daily rhythm. Let's explore them. Slowly, clearly. Box 1, easy and low impact. These are your comfort habits. The ones that feel productive, but don't really move you forward. Checking notifications, scrolling, tidying your desk for the 3rd time. They're not bad, but they trick your brain into feeling busy. They're activity without progress. Use them to unwind. But don't confuse them with growth. Comfort is fine as long as you don't live there. Box 2, easy and high impact. Now this one is gold. Simple habits that deliver big returns. Actions so small, you almost forget their power. Drinking water before coffee. Taking a short walk before work. Reviewing your top 3 priorities before touching your phone. These are your foundation habits. They keep you stable. They multiply your focus. They make everything else easier. You don't need massive effort. You just need steady rhythm. Tiny, high-impact actions done every day turn ordinary people into extraordinary performers. This box is where momentum begins. Box 3, hard and low impact. Now we step into danger. These are the habits that feel like hard work but produce little change. Overthinking, overplanning, perfecting details that don't matter. This is the trap of productive suffering. It drains your energy and feeds your ego. Ask yourself, am I improving or just performing? Because sometimes working harder isn't the same as working smarter. If your effort isn't creating movement, pause, recalibrate. You're not lazy, you're misaligned. Box 4 hard and high impact. Here lies growth. The deep work, the uncomfortable work, the kind that stretches who you are. Writing when you don't feel inspired, speaking when you're afraid to, training when no one's watching. This is where your edge lives, where your potential becomes skill. But there's a catch. You can't live here all the time. Even the strongest minds need recovery. So the secret is to pair your hard, high-impact habits with easy, high-impact ones. Challenge yourself, then refill your energy. That's how you stay sharp without burning out. Building your habit stack. Once you know the 4 boxes, you can start combining them: easy habits with hard habits, small triggers with big rewards. This is called habit stacking. It's simple. You attach a new action to something you already do automatically. For example, after brewing your morning coffee, write 1 sentence. After brushing your teeth, take 3 slow breaths. After closing your laptop, stretch for 30 seconds. The trick is momentum. When the easy action comes first, your brain flows naturally into the next one. No resistance. No decisión fatigue. Just rhythm. Because once you begin, motivation no longer matters. The 10-minute window. You don't need an hour to change your life. You just need 10 minutes. 10 focused minutes to practice your most important habits. Try this: 5 minutes for something easy and grounding. 5 minutes for something hard and challenging. Maybe it's journaling after meditation, reading after a workout, planning after gratitude. 10 minutes of intention beats an hour of distraction. Small windows, big returns. The daily checkpoint. At the end of each day, ask yourself, which box did I live in today? If most of your time was easy and low impact, you were comfortable. If it was hard and low impact, you were busy. If it was easy and high impact, you were balanced. And if it was hard and high impact, you were growing. There's no judgment here, just awareness. Once you see your pattern, you can start adjusting it like tuning a song until it sounds just right. 1 step at a time. Don't stack 5 habits at once. Start with 1. Live with it for 7 days. Then add another. Change too fast, and your mind will resist. Change slowly, and your mind will adapt. Slow is smooth. Smooth becomes fast. You don't need to prove discipline. You need to design it. The mindset behind the matrix. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing better. When you know which habits belong where, you stop fighting yourself. You stop chasing intensity and start creating balance. Because true discipline isn't the art of control, it's the art of harmony. When your habits flow together, your days feel lighter, your focus sharpens, your energy lasts, and growth becomes something peaceful, not pressured. Final reflection. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's one easy habit that supports a hard one? What's one hard habit that truly matters? Write them down. Pair them. Live them for a week. You'll notice it. Your days start moving smoother. Your mind starts clearing faster. And the weight of discipline turns into the quiet rhythm of progress. That's the power of the 2 by 2 habit matrix. It doesn't make you busier, it makes you better. Because when your habits are in harmony, Discipline doesn't drain you. It defines you. Emotions are powerful. They can lift you higher than you've ever been, or hold you down like invisible chains. But here's the truth. You can't control what you feel. You can only control what you do with what you feel. That's what emotional management really is, not suppression, not denial, but transformation, turning emotion into motion, turning reaction into response. Step 1. Name the feeling. When you feel strong emotion, anger, anxiety, fear, pressure, doubt, your first instinct is to run from it. You scroll. You eat. You distract. You talk. But emotions don't disappear when you ignore them. They only grow stronger in silence. So instead of running, pause, breathe, and name what you feel. Just one sentence. I'm angry. I'm scared. I feel stuck. That simple act does something powerful. It moves the feeling from chaos to clarity, from the body to the mind. When you name it, you reclaim it. You stop being the emotion and start observing it. Neurologically, this small step lowers activity in your amygdala, the part of your brain that triggers emotional reactions. It gives control back to your prefrontal cortex, the part that makes decisions. So say it out loud, quietly, calmly, and let your brain breathe again. Step 2. Breathe through it. Once you've named it, don't fight it. Don't tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way. Instead, breathe. Not the shallow kind you do when scrolling your phone, but slow, deliberate breathing in through the nose for 4 counts. Out through the mouth for 4 counts. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your jaw unclench. Let your mind settle like dust in water. Because the breath is your reset button. It bridges your emotions and your awareness. You can't think clearly when your body is in panic mode. Breathing is how you switch back from reaction to regulation. So breathe until you feel your thoughts start to separate, until you can see the emotion instead of drowning in it. Step 3. Choose one next move now. When your body calms, your mind is ready. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to fix everything at once, to solve the entire storm. You don't need to fix the storm. You just need to find the next step. Ask yourself, what's one small action that would make this better, even by 1%? It could be sending one message, taking one walk, writing one sentence, cleaning one corner of your room. That one act grounds your emotion in movement, because action transforms emotion into clarity. When you act, you shift from I feel to I choose. And that's the difference between chaos and control. The 4-4-6 method. Here's a simple framework you can practice anytime. I call it the 4-4-6 method. 4 seconds to name it. Say what you feel, clearly, without judgment. 4 breaths to release it. Slow inhale. Slow exhale. Let your nervous system reset. 6 seconds to decide one action. Not a plan. Not a strategy. Just one clear next move. You can use this in the middle of an argument, before a big decision, or during a wave of self-doubt. It doesn't matter where you are. You can always name, breathe, and act. That's emotional intelligence in motion. The power of naming. Most people live in reaction mode. Triggered, defensive, tense. But the moment you name what you feel, you break that pattern. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You can finally see what's there and what isn't. Sometimes you'll realize the fear isn't real. Sometimes you'll see the anger is just a mask for hurt. Sometimes you'll notice you're not actually tired, you're uninspired. Naming creates space between you and the emotion, and in that space, wisdom appears, the power of breathing. When your breath is shallow, your brain believes you're in danger. When your breath slows, your body remembers you're safe. That's why monks, athletes, and leaders all practice breath control, because the person who controls their breath controls their mind. It's not mystical, it's mechanical. Breath brings you back to balance, and balance brings you back to clarity. The power of small actions. Every emotion holds energy. When you move, that energy transforms. You've probably noticed this. You go for a walk when you're stressed, and suddenly things don't feel so heavy. You write in a journal, and the problem feels smaller. That's because action tells your mind, I am not stuck. Even a single step dissolves the illusion of helplessness. So when emotions rise, don't overthink. Just ask, what's my next move, and take it. No matter how small. Practice in real life. Next time frustration hits, try this. Pause. Say quietly, I'm frustrated. Then breathe. 4 in, 4 out. Then move. Do one tiny action that reclaims control. Send the message you've been avoiding. Stand up and drink some water. Step outside for 30 seconds. That's all. Don't wait for motivation. Build momentum. Each repetition trains your brain to replace reaction with awareness, emotion with intention. This is how you become emotionally strong, not by avoiding feelings, but by guiding them. Reflection. Ask yourself tonight, what emotion controls me most often? What small action could transform it when it appears? Write the answer. Keep it simple, and practice it daily. Because emotional mastery doesn't come from suppression, it comes from repetition. The more often you name, breathe, and act, the faster your recovery becomes. And one day, you'll realize you no longer fear emotion. You use it. You no longer drown in the wave. You ride it. That's the quiet strength of emotional intelligence, the power to stay calm no matter what the world throws your way. Discipline begins with honesty, not motivation, not willpower. Honesty. Because if you can't measure your effort, you can't improve it. That's why you need something simple, something calm, something real. I call it the 7-day commitment scoreboard. It's not a competition. It's not judgment. It's a mirror, a quiet reflection of how consistent you've been with yourself. Step 1. Define your commitment. Before you track anything, you must decide what truly matters. Not 10 things, just 1 or 2. Ask yourself, what's the one daily action that would move my life forward the most if I actually did it every day for 7 days? It could be waking up on time, writing for 10 minutes, meditating, studying, working out, or simply showing up fully to your work. Don't choose something that sounds impressive. Choose something that feels essential, because the scoreboard only works if it reflects what you genuinely care about. Step 2. The 1-point system. Every day, you score yourself. 1 point if you keep your commitment, 0 if you don't. That's it. No half points, no excuses, no stories. You either did it or you didn't. This isn't punishment, it's clarity. It removes the emotional noise of I tried or I almost did it. It's simple truth. And truth builds discipline faster than any motivational speech ever could. Step 3 track for 7 days. Get a small notebook or use your phone. Write the days of the week. Then list your one commitment each day. After you finish, put a check mark if you did it, or a cross if you didn't. That's it. No long journaling, no complex system, just results. Because when the week ends, you'll see a pattern, and that pattern will tell you the truth about your consistency. Step 4. The reflection ritual. At the end of the week, find a quiet space. Take 3 minutes. Look at your 7 marks, your wins and your misses. Then ask 3 questions. 1. What helped me stay consistent? 2. What made me miss a day? 3. What will I adjust next week? This is not about guilt. It's about awareness. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be present. Because the real magic of this system isn't in the marks, it's in what they reveal. When you see your habits written down, you can no longer lie to yourself. And that's the beginning of transformation. Step 5. Build momentum. After 1 week, you'll feel something shift. You'll start noticing how good it feels to check that box, to earn that tiny point every day. It's not the score that changes you. It's the momentum behind it. Because every time you follow through, you send a message to your brain, I keep my word. And that identity is powerful. Most people chase motivation, but identity is stronger than motivation. When you start seeing yourself as someone who does what they say, discipline stops being effort. It becomes who you are. Step 6. Adjust. Don't quit. Let's be honest, you will miss a day. Maybe 2. Maybe more. That's not failure. That's feedback. When that happens, pause it. Don't erase the board. Don't start over. Just ask, what blocked me? Sometimes it's energy. Sometimes it's planning. Sometimes it's emotion. Fix the cause, not the calendar. If your habit feels too big, shrink it. If it feels boring, add variety. If it feels meaningless, reconnect it to your why. This is how real discipline grows, through reflection, not punishment. Step 7. The 3-minute night. Check every night. Before bed, ask yourself, did I keep my commitment today? If yes, give yourself a quiet nod. Feel the small victory. If no, don't spiral. Simply ask, what will I do differently tomorrow? This 3-minute ritual turns discipline into mindfulness. It reminds you that growth isn't loud. It's quiet, intentional, consistent. Why the scoreboard works? Because it's simple, and simplicity sticks. You don't need complex planners or apps. You need feedback you can't argue with. Every check mark becomes a spark of confidence. Every miss becomes a teacher. And by the 2nd week, you'll notice something subtle. You'll stop needing reminders. The habit starts pulling you instead of you pushing it. That's momentum. And momentum is unstoppable. Step 8. Scale with integrity. Once you've kept one commitment for 7 days, you've earned the right to add another. But never add until you're consistent, because inconsistency multiplies faster than success. One solid habit is better than 5 broken ones. So after week 1, ask yourself, is this part of me yet? If yes, add 1 more. If no, repeat the week. Remember, you're not building habits. You're building reliability. Reliability is the foundation of freedom. The mindset of the scoreboard. This system isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. You don't score yourself to prove your worth. You score yourself to stay honest. Every mark is feedback. Every week is a chance to reset. No shame, No pressure, just truth. And truth, repeated daily, becomes transformation. Reflection. Ask yourself right now, if I had to pick just one thing to do every day this week, one thing that would make me proud of myself, what would it be? Write it down. Start tomorrow. Keep score. And remember, the scoreboard isn't there to judge you. It's there to remind you that small wins build big lives. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Because success doesn't come from intensity. It comes from integrity, doing what you said you would do. Long after the feeling has passed, let me tell you a story. A simple one. About someone who finally stopped wishing for change and started creating it. Day 1. The realization. Meet Daniel. 32 years old. Smart. Kind. Ambitious. But overwhelmed. He wasn't lazy, he was scattered. His to-do list looked like a battlefield. Emails unanswered. Plans half finished. Dreams half chased. He woke up tired. Even after 8 hours of sleep, every morning began with guilt, the weight of yesterday's promises he never kept. And yet, deep down, he knew he was capable of more. That was the day he opened his notebook and wrote one line at the top for the next 7 days. I will keep my word. Not to anyone else, just to himself. Day 2. The first rule. Daniel's first rule was simple. I will complete one important task before noon. No phone, no multitasking, no distractions. Just one focused block of time, 90 minutes of deep work. It wasn't easy. On the first morning, his hand reached for his phone 5 times in 10 minutes. But each time, he caught himself, took a breath, and whispered, focus. When he finally finished that one task, he felt lighter. Not because of what he achieved, but because he had finally kept a promise. Day 3. The breakdown. By midweek, the old patterns fought back. Daniel stayed up late the night before, woke up groggy, skipped his morning ritual. He sat at his desk, staring at the screen, watching his mind drift into self-doubt. Then he remembered something from his notes. Progress doesn't disappear when you pause. It disappears when you quit. So instead of starting big, he started small. He did 10 minutes, then another 10. That day, he didn't crush his goals, but he stayed consistent. And that's what mattered most. Day 4, the mirror moment. Every night, Daniel scored himself on his 7-day commitment scoreboard. Meant he followed through. Meant he didn't. The first 3 days looked messy. 2 check marks. 1 cross. But on day 4, something changed. He looked at the pattern and realized the days he planned ahead were the ones he succeeded in. No plan, chaos. Simple plan égale calme. He didn't need more willpower. He needed better structure. That night, he spent 15 quiet minutes planning his morning. He wrote 3 priorities on a sticky note, placed it next to his laptop. And when he woke up the next day, clarity was waiting for him. Day 5. The push-now momentum was building. He still faced resistance, but it was quieter now, more predictable. He used the 2 by 2 habit matrix, pairing 1 easy, high-impact habit with 1 hard. High-impact 1. First, he brewed his morning coffee easy. Then, he wrote his report hard, stacked together. They created flow. That's the secret most people miss. Success isn't one giant leap. It's a series of small, connected steps that carry you forward. And by the end of day 5, Daniel didn't feel drained. He felt steady, calm, in control. Day 6, the slip. Then came the setback. Daniel overslept, missed his first meeting, skipped his deep work session. He could have let guilt take over. Instead, he used the 4-4-6 method from Chapter 7. He paused, named it, "I feel disappointed," breathed 4 in, 4 out, then acted, "I'll do one small task now." He sent that overdue email, closed his laptop, went for a short walk. That moment, that tiny act of recovery was the real turning point. Because discipline isn't proven by how perfect you are. It's proven by how fast you realign. Day 7. The quiet win. The final day felt different. Peaceful, grounded, no fireworks, no massive breakthroughs, just a quiet rhythm, a sense of inner trust forming again. When Daniel looked at his scoreboard that night, he smiled. 4 check marks, 3 crosses, by any external measure. That's not perfect, but to him, it was transformation. Because, for the first time in months, he didn't feel like a fraud. He felt reliable. He had proof not of success, but of consistency. And that's how real confidence is built. The lesson after 7 days. Daniel didn't just get more done. He became a different kind of person. Someone who finishes what he starts. Someone who plans, reflects, and adjusts. Someone who no longer chases perfection but practices presence. He learned that every day doesn't have to be great, it just has to be honest. You don't need motivation every morning. You need momentum. And momentum comes from small promises, kept quietly. Over time. Reflection. Think of your own life right now. What would your 7-day scoreboard look like? Would it be full of check marks? Or would there be gaps days where you drifted off course? Whatever the answer, it's okay. Because the scoreboard isn't about success. It's about awareness. You can start again today. Now, write 1 rule, 1 habit, 1 daily proof. And when you check that first box, even once, you'll feel it, that spark of self-trust returning. That's not motivation. That's mastery. Change doesn't last until it becomes who you are. You can build habits. You can create systems. You can track progress every day. But if your identity stays the same, your life will always return to where it started. That's why the final step is not doing more. It's becoming more. The shift. There's a moment in every transformation where you stop asking, "How do I become better?" and start saying, "This is who I am now." It's a quiet, powerful declaration, a shift from chasing change to embodying it. Because you don't rise to your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Your habits are reflections of who you believe you are. And when you anchor a new identity, your actions align effortlessly. The identity lock. To anchor your change, you need one powerful statement. Not an affirmation, a declaration. Say it like a truth, not a wish. Here's the line. I am the kind of person who moves first. Not waits. Not hesitates. Moves. Before it's perfect. Before it's easy. Before it's guaranteed. Because the person who moves first builds momentum that others only dream of. Every action you take is a vote for that identity. Each time you act instead of delay, you prove it to yourself again. And over time, you no longer have to convince your mind. You just become it. The 30-second ritual. Here's how to anchor it every morning. It takes only 30 seconds. Before you touch your phone, before the noise of the world enters, pause, close your eyes, take one deep breath, and whisper, "I am the kind of person who moves first." Then, visualize one action you'll take today, no matter how small that proves it. Open your eyes and do it. That's your anchor, your identity in motion. 30 seconds that remind your brain you are no longer waiting for confidence, you are creating it. The feedback loop. Every identity needs evidence. That's what habits are for. When you act in alignment with who you want to be, your brain records it. It says, "This is real." The next time, it's easier, and easier again. You don't need loud motivation. You need quiet proof. When your habits reinforce your identity, and your identity fuels your habits, you create an unstoppable loop. That's how growth sustains itself. The myth of reinvention. You don't have to reinvent yourself completely. You just have to return to who you were before fear taught you to hold back. Before doubt whispered, "Wait until you're ready." You were born ready. You just forgot. Anchoring a new identity isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering you've always been capable. The equation of action. Think about it this way. Every day gives you two options: wait or move. Waiting feels safe. Moving feels uncertain. But here's the truth. Uncertainty is the birthplace of every meaningful change. When you move first, you teach your nervous system that discomfort is not danger. It's expansion. And that's how you rewire your mindset. Not through theory, but through repeated, fearless motion. The power of identity phrases. You can create your own anchors too. Here are a few examples. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am the kind of person who keeps promises, especially to myself. I am the kind of person who takes responsibility, not excuses. Pick one. Own it. Repeat it daily until it no longer feels like effort, it feels like truth. Identity isn't built through saying it. It's built through proving it. The 1-month vision. To solidify the shift, set a 30-day identity practice. Here's how it works. Before bed, take 30 seconds to reflect. Ask yourself, what action today reflected my new identity then? Write down one line: I proved it today when It could be anything. Finished the workout, sent the message, said no to distraction. After a month, you'll have 30 lines of proof. 30 moments that say, "This is who I've become." That's your foundation. Your self-trust made visible. The science behind the shift, neuroscience, shows that identity-based behavior is the strongest driver of long-term change. When your actions reflect who you believe you are, your brain rewards you with dopamine, not for the result, but for the alignment. That's why affirmations without action don't work. The brain needs proof, not promises. Each small act of integrity cements a neural pattern of self-trust. That's how confidence is built, not by thinking positively, but by acting consistently. Reflection practice. At the end of each week, find a quiet moment. Sit with yourself. No screens. No noisy. Ask 3 simple questions. 1. Did I move first this week? 2. What held me back? And how did I respond? 3. What action would make next week proud of me? Don't analyze. Just answer honestly. This reflection grounds your identity. It turns growth from theory into embodiment. The final anchor. Let's return to where we started. You've learned to focus in silence. You've learned to manage emotion, to build consistency, to stay calm under pressure. Now, It all comes together in one truth. You don't get what you want. You get what you embody. The world doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your energy. And energy moves when you move first. So from this moment on, don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for permission. You are the permission. You are the movement. You are the one who leads quietly, powerfully, and consistently, because the person who moves first doesn't just change their life, they change their world. Take a breath. You've come a long way. Think back to the first moment you pressed play on this audiobook. You started with questions, with doubts, with maybe a little noise in your mind. And now, here you are, quiet, focused, aware. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You've learned that mastering your mindset isn't about controlling the world, it's about leading yourself. You've learned that success isn't built in noise, it's built in silence, in calm consistency, in small promises kept when no one's watching. That's the truth few people ever understand. You don't earn what you want. You attract what you embody. The world doesn't respond to your wishes, it mirrors your standards. And when your standards rise, so does your life. The real transformation mastering your mindset isn't about being positive all the time. It's about staying centered when everything around you shifts. It's choosing reflection over reaction, purpose over pressure, growth over comfort. It's the quiet discipline of showing up even on days when motivation fades. That's what separates wishful thinkers from those who actually create change. Every chapter in this journey has been preparing you for that. You've learned to rewrite your inner story, to manage emotion before it manages you, to turn action into identity, and to move first no matter what stands in your way. This is mastery. Not loud, not dramatic, but powerful, grounded, real. Reflection, your moment of stillness. Close your eyes for a second. Ask yourself, what's one belief that used to hold me back, that I no longer serve today? Maybe it was doubt. Maybe it was perfection. Maybe it was the fear of starting. Whatever it was, you can let it go right now. Because who you were is no longer in charge. Who you choose to be is. You are no longer reacting to life. You are designing it. And every quiet choice you make from this moment on writes the next chapter of your story. The invitation, if this message spoke to you, don't just let it fade into background noise. Take it with you. Live it. Revisit this series whenever you need to reset your mind. And if you're ready to go even deeper, watch the next audiobook in this journey. Focus on yourself and work hard in silence. Because that's where transformation becomes a lifestyle, where calm turns into confidence, and where success stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody. The gentle close. As you end this session, take one final deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and remind yourself you are not behind. You are right on time. Every step you've taken has led you here to this calm, focused version of you. Trust it. Build from it. Move with it. Because the journey to becoming your best self has already begun. And the only thing left to do now is to keep moving forward. Quietly, consistently, and powerfully,